Praise the Lord. Let's give Jesus a great big hand. We want to stand on the Word, what the Word says in the Bible. We want to talk about the order of authority, the way God made man, made woman, put together a church, and that authority position. Why is it important? It is very important because the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. We don't fight in the flesh. We have a spiritual war. And the order that God puts together gives us the ability to receive his power, to fight against the powers of darkness, and prevail. Okay? There's a problem when the order is switched. The power's not there. And the enemy gets a foothold and takes over. Why am I talking about this? Because even in churches that have men as pastors, the authority is still reversed. And they don't understand why things don't work right. And darkness takes control. And things go wrong. Let me explain this. The title of the video is going to be something like, Why Women Preachers Turn Jesus into a Feminine God or a Woman. Now that sounds like an absurd thing, but let's dig into it a little bit deeper, okay? Let's go way back with Adam. You can read about it in Genesis, where God took the earth or the dirt, the dust, and he created a man. God did. Jesus created all things, and all things were created for Jesus. He created a man, and he blew life into it. And a man is made from the flesh, from the material world. Okay? There's man. He said, let us make man in our image. Well, he did. Now, he looked at the man and he says, I'm going to do a little bit more. So he reached into the man and pulled out a rib. And he took the piece of the man, his physical body, his rib, and he turned it into a woman. And he says, now I have made a woman for the man. She will be his helpmeet. The woman is made from the man. So when it comes to the saying that let us make man in our image, man is in that sense, both men and women, mankind, okay? So the woman is made in the image of God. Yes, but it's different. Well, why is it different? Well, because God directly made the man in his image. The woman is taken from the man, and the woman helps the man. Now, is the woman made in the image of God? Indirectly. Man is directly the image of God. And I'm going to prove this to you. It's simple. And why there are so many churches, so many people in Christian relationships where things are just not working right. When God said, I'll make man in my image, and he blew life into him, that man was the reflection of God himself. Then the woman is made from the man. She is the reflection of the flesh that she's one with, that man. When the woman asserts authority over the man, say like a church leader, even in a household, all of a sudden, she has to have something above her. If she's above a man, who's above her? Is it Jesus? No. No, because Jesus is above the man. That's the order in here. Now, if the woman puts herself above a man, then who's her God? Who is the authority above her? It's not Jesus. Now think about this. Is a woman made in the image of God? No. She's made from the man. If a man is a male and a woman is a female, the man is made in the image of God, who is male. Now, if the woman puts an authority over the man, her God can't be male, because a woman is not made in the image of a male. She's female. Her God has to be her own reflection into a mirror, or a feminine God. She's made in the image of a feminine God. You see what I'm saying? She has to have that, and it doesn't exist. So everything is out of order in the spiritual warfare sense. And if you take spirituality out of it, in the reality of their doctrine and the way everything functions, goes haywire. And you can end up with all kinds of false doctrine. Not that men haven't had that problem with false doctrine, but if you look at some of the great forms of Christian heresies and doctrines, like Mary Baker Eddy, she started Christian Science. Ellen G. White, who is really despicable, starting the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Terribly wrong. And like, hey, what about the big faith healing woman with the Word of Faith movement people, Catherine Kuhlman? Have you ever watched her? And Benny Hinn exalted her, or he almost worshiped her. He was part of her ministry. And her head wasn't Christ, because she had authority over all these men. Look at the mess Benny Hinn's church has all turned out to be. I watched a video of him. He said he was at the end of his road. He looked physically very, very strange and unhealthy, and he was trying to apologize for everything he did wrong. And so much, he said that money is what corrupted him. He said it. Well, you can't have the protection of God if you put a woman over the top of you who doesn't have Christ as the head of her. I watched an interview of a black preacher interviewing a black man and woman, a married couple who were co-pastors of a church. And when he brought up the question to this male pastor, is Christ your head? Is Christ the head of the church? He said, absolutely. And he said, well, are you head over your wife? He said, absolutely. He went to the wife and said, is your husband the head over you? She said, absolutely. And then he said, how do you do your ministry when you're both pastors of the church? She said, we do that equally. I said, you're submitting to the power of your husband, who is the head over you? She said, absolutely not. We're equal. He's not the head over me, which she just said he was. He's not the head over me. He's just the head over the household. And it was interesting. The interviewer said, not in this book. It doesn't say the man is the head of a household over a woman. It says the man is the head of the woman, because the woman is made from the man. Why is this important? Because when God made the woman to help the man, he made her more emotional, which is good. Women are more emotional than men. It is really good when you're dealing with little children. It's really good when you have a stubborn old man and she can look at him and feel with a higher IQ in emotions what he's going through and helping. Okay? But if you take a woman and you put her over authority of men, you will see it doesn't work. They'll become unhappy. They'll become under a lot of stress. It doesn't work good for them. And the only way a woman can stay in ministry as an authority over men is if the enemy, the power of darkness, props her up. As long as that enemy is propping her up to maintain that position in a church, she can do it, because Jesus is not helping her. He's not. Jesus is the head of the man, not the woman taking authority over men. And that's what happens in many churches. When you look at the old dead denominations now, if you were to do a study on Wiccan, Christian churches that accept Wiccan, you're going to find out it's women. If you see churches that are into sexual deviance, many times it is a female authority figure who's accepting a deviant lifestyle. But if I were to go back to the Wiccan thing, isn't it interesting that Wiccan doctrine of witchcraft is a feminine as God? Many of the pagan religions, the occult, different religions have a feminine God, where the Christian Judeo religion, God is a man, a male. The male God is the head of the male person, man, made in his image. The woman comes out of the man to help him. If she goes above him in authority, it doesn't work, because the male God will not accept her. It don't work. And women who put themselves in authority will say, oh no, everything's in my church. She calls it herself, her church. Everything is working according to Christ's plan, this, that, and the other thing. It's only working because the power of darkness is propping her up as a deception. And it always ends up in shipwreck. And then, if you take all of that away, and you have churches where there are male leadership, what happens if the women in the church don't follow that correct order? They may look at the leadership as being male, but they will see themselves as closer to Christ, and they assert their authority over men in the church. In that setting, happens all the time. That's why if you start church hopping, which I don't recommend you do, I recommend you stay away from the darkness and just go to Jesus. But from church to church to church, you will see the majority in Christianity where the men are weak and troubled and the women are strong and nurturing. And the man will go to the woman like a little boy to his mother and say, I hurt myself, pity, pity me. And they will have pity parties for effeminate men. The Christian churches are full of men that are out of order. They're weak and they're miserable. And the women that have authority over them are miserable. And what's the end of it? As an example to culture or to society or the world we live in or the nation here, Europe or America, you will see two things happening. Divorce and remarriage or divorce rates are through the ceiling. Marriages cannot exist when the women take over. It don't work. If you look at the data, marriage is just a big mess. People don't stay married. The woman asserts authority over the man don't like it, and then they clash and they break up over and over again. Children suffer because now they don't have a father and they don't have a mother. So that's what's happening in society. The family is being destroyed. And do you know that the trends are in the world right now against having children? The women want to go into business. They want to be a man. They want to assert authority over men because they are driven by the power of darkness. And then the last thing in their agenda that they can deal with is having children. So the population has become very precariously teetering on the edge of a collapse. And they talk about that. Sociologists, people that are into people science, okay, they say that there is a tremendous population collapse. It could even threaten the very existence of people. It is that dangerous. In China, in America, in different places. People are not having kids. The population just collapses. There ain't enough people that are working that are young to help the people that are a much larger population that are old. And as they die off, there's nobody to replace anybody. Everything is upside down and backwards. When you have women take authority over man, and they want to do it in a church situation, leadership in a church situation, or in the home, what you'll find is now they're going to go out into the workplace and be a man in work. It's appealing to their pride to have authority over men. The child or having babies is a hindrance. It gets in the way. And so what happens? Skyrocketing abortion rates. They get pregnant and they go, I can't have this kid because I have authority over men and I can't raise the child and deal with that at the same time unless I would hire it all done. And I don't have the finances right now to control all that. Maybe at some point in her life later on, she can keep a child as a trophy and show it to everybody. But she has a bigger calling in controlling and have authority over men in business and being successful. So where's the child going to go? Abortion. And abortion is right through the roof. Abortion is right through the roof. You're having children killed. You're having families no longer have children. You've got women taking leadership roles. And the women themselves, are not happy because they're out of order with God. They're miserable. A woman loves to have a husband. She lives for him. And when she takes the authority over him, it don't work. And she ends up shipwrecking herself. And women have terrible emotional problems now. Lots of them when you're around them. And a lot of them scratch and claw at each other and at you, and they're all nervous and worried and don't want to fight. And the only thing you can do to be kind is, I would explain it to you. If you'll calm down, they won't. And then you would say, I don't accept your authority. I won't give you audience. Then you have to shut up and move away from them because they will not listen. They have another voice in their head. You cannot have a woman being a pastor unless she's turned Jesus feminine. Because a woman cannot be the head of the church. It don't work. Christ is the head of the church, and he puts men in that position. Remember, God is a man. God is not a woman. That's where it ends up. And that's the actual tenets of Wiccan, witchcraft, of the occult. Oh, the terrible, terrible occult religions, like the goddess Ishtar, a woman sex goddess. And if you English pronounce the word, it comes out Easter. Easter, goddess of sex, a female god. No wonder the Catholics rushed and created that. Because the men that are priests and bishops in the Catholic Church are feminine. They're not people who remain single because they want to help Jesus. No, it's a club of people that are deviants, and the data proves it. They have very, very, very bad spirits. And there's terrible deviance and obsessions and darkness involved in that whole system. And then they make the people in the church venerate and pray to Mary, a woman. Mary's not the head of nobody. She's just the mother of Jesus. But they put her up as a mother God. You see where this is going? You can't have female or women be authority figures over men. I'm not saying that a woman couldn't be great with spiritual gifts, with teaching, with helping, and be strong in the church and spiritual warfare. She can have all of that, but she cannot have authority because it's not given to her over all the men, okay? Even her husband. Well, God bless you.